What is this? You need to reach 1,000 subscribers? Do you think you deserve the honor of having 1,000 subscribers, would-be hero?
Yeah, what makes you so freaking special that I should subscribe to your freaking channel, hero?
Yeah, he's right. I mean, come on. What have you done for me lately?
Seems kinda suspicious playing all these old games on a modern machine instead of playing some kind of modern game you ain't played before.
I suppose if you truly plan to help the people of Mordavia, I suppose we can take a moment to check out your channel and see what it's all about. Maybe then I'll decide, no? He seems like a nice enough fellow. Why, he even does little introductions on some of his newer videos, it seems. Fine. Yes. So let's see this channel of yours. We need to know the URL of your channel, hero. Oh, I see. It is quite easy to remember. www.youtube.com at Let's Play Sierra Games.
The people of Mordavia gather around the mystical square that begins playing the channel of Let's Play Sierra Games. They are entertained. Well, I must say, that was much better than I had thought it would be. I do say I would highly recommend this channel to anyone I met.
Yes, a rather funny little channel. I would say anyone who is here should definitely like and give the hero a subscribe at the channel as well.
The channel's even kids safe. The hero doesn't even say bad words or anything. He even fights off the scary darkness like a good hero should.
Igor maybe not the one everyone think is smart, but even Igor know how to subscribe. Not doing so is a grave mistake. That's a little graveyard humor right there.
Even I think this channel is a thing of beauty, and there are few things I find as beautiful as me. And maybe, just maybe, this channel comes pretty close. So yes, you should subscribe, or feel the gypsy curse upon you.
Besides, the hero has made so many videos and spent so much time making all of these wonderful videos he shares with everyone. He does it to bring light to the dark world. Also, like all growing heroes, he can definitely use the reward offered by reaching 1,000 subscribers.
Alright, we're back for part 2 of commentary of Quest for Glory 4, Shadows of Darkness. Alright, so where we left off last time, we had slept right inside of Mordavia. And so we had just had a dream with Arana and things like that. So now it is a new morning. It's a great day. We're going to go out and quest for some glory. And hey, some people are outside. Look, he's locked safely away. We could wait a bit for the Gravedigger to show up. And Igor's missing. Oh. So Igor's gone missing and someone is locked up. So let's see what's happening here. And by the way, these three characters, these three, and him especially, is probably by far what some of my favorite characters in this game. So, looks like full moon last night, so looks like what we have is the potential of werewolves. Now, if you recall, we already heard about werewolves, and so we know they're out there, some part of the thing, and the gypsy. So now they're talking about the gypsy. Now, if you remember the last one, the spirit of Piotr basically said, hey, talk to the gypsy to find out how to break the curse. So now we know there are for sure gypsies, and they are in the game. However, in my wandering in the commentary part 1, I've not found them yet. Also, in the first part of my commentary, I still hadn't found Arana's piece, so there was still... What I like is there was still plenty to find outside of Mordavia, outside of the town, that I've not yet found, despite wandering around quite a bit. So that was actually kind of nice that I wasn't able to cover and map every square out very, very quickly. And as I said, going outside of Mordavia at night is pretty dangerous. A lot of those fights would get really close, especially if it was with a hag or like the wraiths. Those were not fun fights. And then, so now we also learn about Yuri's daughter, Tanya. Yuri is the innkeeper, so we know that something happened to his daughter as well, and the rumor is that she was apparently eaten by a werewolf. We will find out that is actually incorrect. She was not eaten by a werewolf, had nothing to do with the werewolves or even the gypsies. So there is that. So now they want their vengeance for Igor's disappearance. They want to get rid of the gypsy. So we're going to talk to them, because now there's more conversation trees while they're outside in regards to... I love how they keep interacting with one another. You ask one person a question and they all jump in with an answer. That's why I love these three so much. And their voices are so well done. So... I forgot what my point was, but essentially Tanya's experience has nothing to do with werewolves, and now we know that there are gypsies. Haven't found them yet, but at least now I know we can try to talk to the gypsy. But just like everyone else, when we get to this gypsy, you'll see, just like everyone else in this town, he's very, very untrusting. So there is going to be an issue of trying to earn his trust somehow. And he's saying that gypsies are werewolves, that during the full moon, they can turn into werewolves, and they're also apparently thieves, and that they can't be trusted. All the typical stereotypes that you hear about a gypsy, that they can throw down curses, and that they can change into werewolves, and they're nothing but, thieves and stuff like that. So I like that they play up this stereotype that these three embody. So we're going to ask the Burgermeister, who seems a little more calm and collected as to what is happening. He says Gypsy was found right outside the town gates, so they brought him in for questioning. And then, of course, the other three guys need to weigh in their opinion about the gypsies and how everyone knows gypsies are werewolves, and that Igor was eaten. And that werewolf is a danger to us all. I think he's by far my favorite. I just like how they had him talk. He seems mighty suspicious. And it's interesting that, if they do truly believe that he is a werewolf, they have him locked up. I mean, I guess they have 30 days to figure out whether or not he's a werewolf, but they're not even going to give him that much time. Because they're saying, we all know werewolves are real. They turn into wolves by the full moon. Typical werewolf lore. Check out Gabriel Knight 3, which, by the way, is on my channel, which is all about werewolves. So if you want to, after you finish watching this, you want to jump in and check out some Gabriel Knight, both the playthrough and the commentary are on my channel. So while we're talking about werewolves... And so the Burgermeister says, he's heard enough. Everything is just hearsay and speculation. And now they're going into the deep end of how werewolves happened. And I apologize if a little bit you can maybe hear the fan blowing in the background. I don't have it blowing directly on me. I am in my room. I have it tilted at an angle. But with this new microphone setup, it is pretty sensitive, and it does seem to be picking up that background noise. But between some of the editing I'll do to try to clear up that background noise, as well as dropping some music throughout, will hopefully drown out that little soft sound behind me of the fan. It is once again getting warm. Yesterday was a little bit cooler. Today started off with a bunch of clouds in the air, so I thought, oh, perfect. But those clouds did not last long, and this room started to get pretty warm. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, listen to the first commentary. I actually talked about how this room is like an inferno. Anyway, so we're going back to here. We are talking to the Burgermeister. We discover that the gravedigger is missing, and they're totally suspecting that this gypsy had turned into a werewolf and done something to him. And he said, we went to search the cemetery, yeah, but we didn't have to go far. Just outside of town, we found ourselves a werewolf. And we found no trace of poor old Igor. So that's kind of a clue that they were headed for the cemetery, because that's where Igor usually is. If he's not outside the guild hall making gravestones, he is in the cemetery, which is where he takes the gravestones. I don't know who's dying in Mordavia, since it seems like a pretty small town. But, you know, knowing that we should go to the cemetery, which also I still had not located in the first playthrough, or in the first part of my commentary. If you watch that, I had not located where this cemetery is at yet. I haven't even been to a couple of different places, like Arana's Peace, the cemetery, and a few other places, like even Baba Yaga, who is somewhere on that map as well. So as we go through this, we're going to find all these little places, and like I said, it's pretty cool that the map was big enough that I did not discover everything really quick. In the first Quest for Glory, which was probably one of my favorites, now it's very difficult to say now that I'm replaying these, I'm getting so many good memories out of these. In the first Quest for Glory, it was pretty easy to pretty much walk that whole map before dark came, so it was easy to really map out the first Quest for Glory. Each game progressively got bigger, with Quest for Glory 2 being infinite if you go into the desert, if you are traveling in certain directions. And then Quest for Glory 3 had that huge overlay map, and then Quest for Glory 4 went kind of back to the style of Quest for Glory 1, where, you know, you could actually map out the area pretty easily, but it had way more area to cover, so I thought that was great. So now we're inside, and we're going to see if we can talk to this gypsy, get some information out of him, see if we can try to help him, see if we can do something for him, right? So now we're going to save, and as you can see, this is a trick that I do, not a trick, but it's something that I do. So when you see it, the game is not frozen, I'm not paused. What I'm typically doing when I get to a point where it says you have to replace one of the games, I'm alt-tabbing out, taking all those save games, moving them into a new folder, and then I'll escape out of this, and then go back to save, and I'll have a blank folder. So I have all my saves basically backed up into different folders, and so that's why you're currently seeing the save game right there being halted. It's not like I don't know what to do. I'm actually just creating a folder, moving everything else, and then alt-tabbing it back. Alright, just a quick side note, I just noticed that in my health bar at the very top left is that bright green, which indicates I'm still poisoned. So I had not realized that, so that's what I'm going to save it as. Still poisoned. Now while it says I quit, what I'm usually doing is I come back and I probably stepped away and quit, so it doesn't sit there and record for an hour, so I probably went and got a soda and quit to come back. So sometimes I try to remember the fact that I am recording the game and I come back to do it proper. If you watch the first commentary, there is literally, if you watch the playthrough, it's even worse, because it's literally 5 minutes when the game first starts and I'm just standing in the cave. And I have a feeling I started the game, made it, you know, got it all, started recording, probably went out to get a soda, talked to my wife, and then finally came back to play, and I forgot to edit that part to just trim it down to where he starts moving, so my bad. So now we've tried to talk to the gypsy, but he really doesn't want to talk to us. This is not surprising. Everyone in Mordavia is pretty leery, so even if you try to greet the gypsy, he just ignores you. So, which is a bummer, because you're here to try to help him. But no one here knows that you're a hero, you're in this new land, no one knows your reputation that you've done in Quest for Glory 1, 2, and 3. Apparently your name does not precede you in this game. How did they not know Valor the Victorious? I mean, the name itself rings of a hero, which in Quest for Glory 5 will just become Valor if I ever play it, because you can't have a long name in Quest for Glory 5. But I'm not complaining that much. Maybe I am. Okay, I'm complaining. I'm complaining a lot about Quest for Glory 5 from what I've seen, from the 15 minutes I imported my character and tried to mess around with it. But that's for a different time, because this is Quest for Glory 4, and I may take a break before I play Quest for Glory 5, and I may play a different game. And see, the Burgermeister seems pretty hopeful. He says, hey, the Gravedigger may yet still be alive. Maybe we need to find him. And he's asking for everyone to calm down. You know, that guy's like, hey, we've waited long enough. Yeah, the gypsy shall pay. Yeah. That gypsy should burn at the stake. He's by far my favorite. I know I keep saying that, but every time. I even like how he looks at, like, his voice. Like, how they did his voice and how they did his look was, like, perfect. I mean, overall, those three characters in general, how they look and how they voice, definitely match perfectly. So now we know we got a little bit of time, not really a lot, before this gypsy is going to meet his fate. And we don't want that to happen. And here's old Nikolai. We did see his wife, Anna, so let's see if we can talk to him about some new stuff. And he keeps looking for his Anna.
Looking for Anna. Anna has been gone for a long time. I have been looking.
He doesn't know what's become of his Anna. Well, apparently we haven't figured out enough to know that that was Anna because she does not recall her name. If you remember, if you watched the first commentary, we saw her and she said she wants to go home. She doesn't understand why she can't leave. And she says she'll follow us, but then she disappears because she can't actually leave that area. But we'll keep going back and forth and we'll eventually help her recall her name. And when we do, we can tell Nikolai about who she is, where she is, and how to find her.
The sign reads, Dr.
So Dr. Cranium, which is clearly a reference to Dr. Brain, or whatever that game, other series is from Sierra. There's like 10 of them for the Dr. Brain games. I have no idea why they put a freaking not Simon Says. Yeah, it is Simon Says, isn't it? The little game from the 80s, maybe 70s, where it had the different color things and you'd have to hit it in order. And it'd get progressively harder as you went along. So I can't remember if I've already figured out by this point that what I want is to try to catch that Antwerp thing. Yeah, so I figured out, because now I'm talking about how it bounces. So, I didn't know I could just, even though I did it before, that you can hit the up arrow to go back the previous question. So now I'm going to go back and correct my answers. But if you hit the up arrow, I think it lets you go back to your previous question and change it. So it is an Antwerp that we want. So let's see if opening the door will now work on triggering all the things. But apparently it says we need something in order to initially trap the Antwerp. So let's make our way back. And once again, this whole scenario plays around. If we can't find out till here or tomorrow, you shall have your burning. So now we know they're gonna frickin' burn the gypsy. So they're gonna burn him at the stake, and we cannot let that happen. We all know the gypsy is innocent. He didn't do what they're claiming. He may be a werewolf. Spoiler alert. You'll find out when we get to the gypsy camp. But he certainly did not do anything to Igor. What Igor did to himself. You could say he made a grave mistake. That's a little graveyard humor there. Alright, so we're going to try get this sandwich. A couple of them. Use them for the road. Once again, I wish there was a way when they did this that when you click on it, a little drop down appeared with an up and down arrow, so you can specify how many you want. So you can just say, hey, give me 10 of these and arrow up to 10, and it just buy 10 instead of having to click on it 10 different times and clicking buy 10 different times. But hey, hindsight is always 20/20, so it's much easier to look back after something's been done and how it could be quote unquote better. But really, that's so trivial because it's literally only her. She's the only place where you need to even purchase anything. There aren't really any other merchants in this game. Excuse me. So, like, there's no potion vendor. There's none of the stuff that you'd normally see in the other Quest for Glory games. All the different types of vendors that were around Quest for Glory 4 did not have that. It's pretty much just her. She's the general store. And once again, so I wish there was also a timer in here that says, hey, if you've seen this conversation, no need to play it again. So, conversation equals 1. If conversation equals 1, skip. That's a little QBasic / programming language there, which totally not what they program in, but you get the idea. And once again, Simon Says bells, ding dong, ding dong. I should make my wife play that portion of Quest for Glory. If you listen to my first commentary, back in June of 2020, my wife had a couple of health issues. One of them impacted her ability to retain short-term memory. So things like Simon Says would probably be a great way to build up that memory. So we're going to let the Antwerps out. We've got the trap sprung, and we got Antwerped again, but thankfully they are just baby Antwerps, so it was not fatal. And boom! You caught yourself an Antwerp. It's simply amazing. So now we have an Antwerp. What do we do with it? How do we get it into the maze? We're gonna clicky. That's not what we want. Just need to get it over to the rat maze. Probably just need to open the door, right? Yeah. This is the fun benefit of not playing with a walkthrough. Trying to figure out what you need to do. So we're going to go ahead and open the door. And what do you know? The Antwerp is in the maze. And it bounces around and continue to rotate the maze until the baby Antwerp bounces over to the key and then out through the exit. So now we have to rotate this room and make the Antwerp bounce. And you can see the blue bounce. I am just going to speed run this because this took quite a while to make the Antwerp bounce and shifting this mazy thing around. So hang tight while we fast forward the fast forward. So if you didn't catch that, I slowed down the game to make the bouncing Antwerp much easier to shift around. While I'm normally not a fan of minigames, at least this one is pretty painless. It's more just a little monotonous than it is anything. It's not like game-breaking, like frustrating. If you want that, if you want a bunch of very, very difficult puzzles, check out Manhunter 1 and 2, Manhunter New York and Manhunter San Francisco. Hey, guess what? Both of those are on my channel. So if you want to watch just the playthrough, or the playthrough and the commentary, or just the commentary, you can go into my channel after you watch this and check out the Manhunter games. I mean, if I can't self-promote during my own video, when can I self-promote? I mean, I do self-promote a lot, especially on Facebook, and I do actually also post in several Sierra Game Discord channels, so I guess I do self-promote quite a bit. But how else are people supposed to know about all this greatness? That's right, I said it's great. Alright, so now we've done the maze thing, we've gotten a key, and now we've opened the door to Dr. Cranium's office. So now we're going to go in here, and I guess I lied a little bit earlier. He is kind of a potion vendor. But you don't have to buy anything from him, you just have to help him remember his formulas. And the first time that I did this, I wasn't really paying attention. He asked me a question, I was like, I don't even know where to get this answer. And I should have thought, the answer is in the manual. So I ended up having to crack open the manual. Thankfully, I also purchased this game on GOG. So through GOG, I was able to get just an easy digital PDF to easily reference as to what some of these words are that I need to remember to help him remember the formula. But unfortunately, that makes me miss, I think, the first formula that I can help with, which I think is a healing one. But, you know, I survive. Because I'm a hero. I'm Valor the Victorious, and that's what I do. I'm always victorious, usually. Might take a restore from time to time, but I am victorious in the end. And he talks about how he'd love to hear about your travels and apply them to his scientific knowledge and discoveries. So you tell him about magic, and it is pretty funny how he responds. Nonsense. There is no such thing as magic. There is only science. What you call magic is simply a scientific phenomenon that has not been investigated and properly cataloged. So it's pretty cool. And I also like his primary elements. He has earth, wind, air, and pizza. So definitely understand Dr. Cranium's point of view from that. Literally just had pizza for dinner last night. So definitely get the pizza reference. And apologize if from time to time you do hear my phone make little sounds. I have a camera that points outside, which sometimes triggers, and I have, unfortunately, the audio is on right now because I'm expecting a delivery. So from time to time you may hear my phone off to the side making little noises. Because this microphone seems to be picking up everything. But hopefully it is sounding much better. I listened to the first one, I sound very different on this microphone than I do on the mic, on the headset mic. I sound much louder. So that's probably good, and hopefully less popping sounds, if you will, that can be distracting when certain words are pronounced, like pop, a soda pop. Alright, anyway, back here, we're talking about different formulas. You mean the new universal poison antidote, which, I mean, cool to have, but as the paladin, where you can heal yourself if you just recover some endurance, and endurance is pretty easy. So here it is. So he asks for the formula for that. So there's earth, wind, fire, water, and pizza. And I should have looked in the manual to figure out what the heck this is, because I have no idea at the time. And somehow that doesn't seem quite right. Maybe you better check your manual and try again. Oh, well, thanks. So you ask him for some empty flasks, and he'll give you some for a specimen collection. Of course, of course. I'm always delighted to assist in scientific research of any kind, and have plenty of flasks. You may have this one. And I think you can pretty much just ask for an infinite amount of empty flasks. And since we messed up that one about not having the thing, he says, hey, I can only do these things once a day. So just know, if you do not have the book and you're trying to guess what the certain, I guess you could say the copyright protection is, you're going to have a bad time trying to get some of these potions. I would say the most important one is the healing potion. Again, as a paladin, you can just basically use your endurance to heal yourself, and you can pretty much rest any time to get, rest 60 minutes to get that endurance back. But if you don't want to blow your endurance, having that healing potion is pretty handy. And as you can see with that one, I was able to actually get it, because now I knew that what I was looking for, or what he was looking for, was in the manual. And I should have known that as well. Just knowing that it was a weird random word, I should have just looked in the manual to get that potion, or the poison one. I like at the end, afterwards you have pizza. Pizza, of course, is the most important element of all. Again, not disagreeing, I did have pizza last night for dinner. Of course, that pizza for dinner last night is not going to be relevant after I post this, because, if you watch this 3 weeks later, you know what, actually, there is probably a good chance I probably still had pizza for dinner 3 weeks later. I love that everything is like, then have pizza to celebrate as a result. I feel like that'd be a good question. If you watched my first commentary, I was talking about how, if I managed to ever hit 1,000 subscribers, something I'd like to do. Because once I hit 1,000, I feel like that shows that the channel's, serious. Been at it a while, and people find it entertaining enough to subscribe. Something I want to do is eventually, if I can, if they're willing, interview a few of the creators over at Sierra. Lori and Corey Cole, Al Lowe, Scott Murphy, Mark Crow, any of those, Christy, Marks. I know some of them probably don't have the time, or no longer interested in talking about, what they did for Sierra, because it's been so long, and I get it. But I feel like asking the Coles if they really like pizza that much, or if it was just in here for fun, or is it both? I feel like that would be a good question to ask. And if it is true that they like pizza, find out what kind of pizza they like. And so now we've learned the glide spell, because he gave us a scroll and he doesn't believe it's magic, but we are able to manipulate it and use it in our own way. So even Dr. Cranium talks about how there's so few people left in Mordavia, and that business has slowed down, and that Igor sometimes comes in to basically help out Dr. Cranium. So it'd be cool if we could get some information from Dr. Cranium. He's had less work of late, the forest is dangerous, but there aren't very many people left in town who are stupid enough to go out there at night, except for us. I love the Cole's sense of humor. He's on his way to be a rock star, because he's carves on gravestones. And the cemetery is outside of town to the east. There are some very interesting and cryptic puzzles to be solved there. So even Dr. Cranium knows that there's something up with that cemetery, and he somehow knows that there's puzzles to be solved. And there is certainly a few of them, for sure. One of them that will lead to a super secret passage. But we'll talk about that later. So we learn that in his most recent experiment, he is trying to bring life back to a dead body, as well as brew the perfect cup of tea. So I'm not sure how anyone feels. I mean, he's clearly doing the Frankenstein thing where he's trying to bring life back to a dead body, but whew, necromancy, never a good look. So right now I'm just talking to Dr. Cranium, getting all the information out of it. One of the things I love to do, even if it's not pertinent to what I may be doing, like I don't need to know about his research or his lab equipment, but because those lines are there to hear, I'm clicking through everything when I play these games. It's the same thing for when I did, about to promote another game that I played, Gabriel Knight 3. So in Gabriel Knight 3 there is a metric ton of reading. Especially when you log into Sydney, which is the basically computer system that they use to find out information about vampires and everything else. Sydney had a ton of information. So everything that I was finding, I was literally allowing the computer to read, or I would read, just to get everything out of the game that they put in there. At least that I was able to find without using a walkthrough. I did struggle a lot in Gabriel Knight 3, especially trying to, when you get to the part where you need to map like the circles and the squares and the triangles and all that stuff on the map. That part was insane, and I don't know how I originally did it, only because I'd played Gabriel Knight 3 quite a few times actually. I actually like Gabriel Knight 3 quite a bit. Actually, I like all the Gabriel Knight games quite a bit, but only because I'd played Gabriel Knight 3 quite a few times, I remember that I had to eventually map these things. I didn't remember what the order was or how it was, so I did struggle even on my playthrough. But that's half the fun of not playing with a walkthrough in front of you, because then you're just kind of reading and interacting with whatever the walkthrough is telling you, versus just kind of exploring, messing up, and restoring. In these Sierra games. And just like what Al Lowe always says, make sure when you're playing a Sierra game, save early, save often, because death could be waiting for you around any corner, or a unfortunate dead-end bug. So save early, save often, and this dead-end bug type thing that was notorious for Sierra, where you get to a certain part of the game, and the item that you need to pass it is not in your inventory because you never picked it up. Because I am not playing through using a walkthrough, this is why I do that thing where I talk about I copy and save all my save games into different folders, and I don't actually overwrite them. It's so that I can go back if I do happen to reach something where this happens, and I can ideally restore without having to start the whole game over or whatever, overwritten like a good save point that would allow me to get it right before I needed it. So that's why I do what I do and the way I do it. And also I'll probably eventually, I talk about the forum a lot, but www.sierrahelp.com, and then I believe it is forums.sierrahelp.com. I may eventually get around to actually uploading all these save games into the forum as well. So on that forum I post a lot when I'm doing the playthroughs and whatnot, so I'll probably zip these files up and then upload them at some point. See, once again, this is why I wish there was a timer to say, hey, conversation equals 1 or whatever. And so that way every time you walk into this part of town, you're not experiencing this conversation repeatedly. Because we've already seen it. So I think maybe twice seeing it would be fine, but not every time we pass through it until we change something. So we can see that Igor is gone, and when they talk about going that cemeteries to the east, you figure right where Igor is where it would be. You could just walk over there and it would happen. Remember when I said save early, save often? Here's why you want to do that. So, bad idea to walk to the monastery. There is a way to get into the monastery, but there is something that you have to do. before you walk over there. And it's kind of nice that the automatic save did it right before I walked over there.
This is a bas relief of the spring.
It's a strange creature. It looks like an octopus with only 6 tentacles. You have a creepy feeling, as if it were looking right back at you. So you kind of get the vibe now that I've perished, that that thing might be alive. Now, there was something that we got a symbol of, which has those tentacles, but let's see if we can just throw a hook at it. Nope, that's not it. So we can't climb it. But spoiler alert, that thing right under the hook that I'm totally bypassing is what you need to get past this thing. And again, not having not having the walkthrough and stuff like that makes this much more enjoyable, because I'm trying to figure out what to do and stuff like that. So I'm standing there looking at all my inventory items, even though the thing I need is staring right at me now that I know after playing it and doing the commentary post playing. I know what I need, and it's right there. It's right there. You can do it. Anyway, what I was going to say is, prior to meeting my demise, is how they talk about the cemetery being just, to the east of the town. So now I figured out that I need that thing. I had assumed that Igor was blocking the way to the cemetery until you needed to get to it. So I thought, oh, okay, now that Igor is missing, I can just walk over here and get to the cemetery. But because there is no indication that that road ends right there next to the adventure hall. Kind of looks like it keeps going, so like it might lead into the cemetery, but that is not the case. You actually need to go outside into the woods, walk around, and find the cemetery. So we use that little tentacle thing to bypass this, and you can see another one right above the fireplace. So the first thing I notice is that there's another 6-tentacled octopus that looks much smaller, so the hexapod. And then there's something that looks weird on this thing. This amazing lifelike sculpture looks like it's a cross between a baby troll and a hermit or dervish. It fits the description of Domavi, or Domavi? I don't know how to pronounce that. And it says it's totally dried out and unmoving. So we need to find out more about that thing. And we will. So it looks like there's a cabinet, but shouldn't break someone else's property. It's not the honorable thing to do, but this monastery isn't exactly a very honorable place. And I am just noticing right above the door there is the 5 symbols. How did I not notice that before? And then there's cultists on each side, it looks like, doing some weird thing. I can't remember if I noticed those symbols above the door when I was playing, but it's certainly reminiscent of the ritual that we need. So it looks like a desk. It looks like it kind of has one of those little it's like a little cabinet above it. So I was thinking there was a way to get into that little cabinet, but that's not the case. But it looks like, let's see, right above it. So there's no cabinet that seems like that we can get into here. And we shouldn't break into someone else's property. If you had your way to destroy the evil abode, you'd do it in a second. Nice consistent belief, eh? So that clue right there tells me that we're going to do something to destroy this place. And that doesn't budge. And the hexapod looks very upset up there.
It looked like another wall decoration.
So it is definitely angry. So it's a smaller one, so maybe we can just give it something to make it go away. Go play with some bones. Nope, that doesn't do anything useful. I suspect there's something with that fireplace because the hexapod seems to be guarding it.
Can't get this log holder to move at all.
And that one seems firmly in place. So, oddly noted, the hexapod attacks after touching that one because it's not the right one to touch. So, once again, thankfully the automatic save puts us inside because I hadn't saved before trying to get into that doorway. So definitely nothing up with that desk. Nowhere else to walk. So definitely that fireplace is the key. So we already tried the left-hand side. Take a look at our stats. Everything looks like it's pretty much gone up except for luck and magic and communication. So apparently we caught the place on fire. And we get the thing back. So I'm going to end up restoring from this because I suspect there is more to do, especially with the fireplace and the fact that the small hexapod was at the top. Now what's interesting is while the place is ablaze, the big hexapod doesn't do anything. Like if it's alive, I don't understand why it wouldn't flee, like you don't see it crawling away, or even see it catching on fire knowing that it meets its demise. So once the place is on fire, there is no way to go back in. So clearly there's more to do here because there's no way that they would just want you to go in and burn the place. So even though I was aiming at the little mini hexapod, it apparently was catching everything on fire. Alright, so we know there's more to do in there, and in hindsight, again, doing commentary post-play, if I give something to the mini hexapod and then use the other handle next to the fireplace, we'll know what to do. So I think this is where I go back and figure that out. Fireplace looks like it has been used in years. So that's kind of a clue that A, it's not been used, no one's been in this monastery for a long time, which makes sense because it is a dark and evil building, and most of the people of Mordavia will stay away from it. So since that thing keeps eating me, let's give it a sandwich. So it doesn't want a sandwich, it waves its hands. So it doesn't say that's useless. So that's kind of a clue that maybe we should try to give it something else. If it's allergic to avocado, we still have garlic. Let's give it garlic. Do you like garlic, buddy? Hexapod happily gorges itself on the garlic. Hector looks much less hungry, and perhaps a little less dangerous now. So that's a good sign. So let's try the left one again. Can't get the holder to move at all. The base is solidly set into the fireplace. So what about the one on the other side? What do you know? Secret passage. Oh yeah! And there's a lot of weird stuff here. Sickening smell of decay flesh. Welcome to your nightmare. So that's a great feeling, a great vibe. This is a dangerous place. You probably already knew that. The incredible sensation of evil emanates from this entire area. So first we can see that the wine barrel cask, if you will, is dripping something that is red. You'd think it's probably like red wine. Chances are it's not red wine. More than likely it's some form of blood, So what should we do? Well, the logical choice is leave it alone, but that's not what heroes do. We're going to go ahead and take a drink of it. So let's go have a little sip. And then bottoms up. And now you'd think you died, but that's not what's happening. What you're seeing is a vision. And let me tell you, this vision that you're about to see, the sky turns red. Things are not looking good. Looks like blood skies, right? The mountaintop is cracking. And this huge evil emanates from the mountaintop. Now, let me tell you, when I get to the end of the game, and I think personally it's a bit of a speed bug because you see it happen a few times, but we get to see that ending probably like 8 times. And it is because that last battle, again, I think it's a speed bug that was hitting me, but I eventually do pass it. And there's even one where I do it in time, but then, quote unquote, the bad guy, I can say who he or she or what it is yet, comes up to me and hits me again and takes me down. Even though I've technically done the correct thing and you can see it in them, you see them just float up and still get me. So that ending, that vision you saw, you'll see it a lot in my playthrough near the end of the game. And now we see there's a couple of different things here. This barrel is now empty. We can see that there is a name on that far wall over there. But before that, let's open this desk. It is locked. Of course it is. So let's just force it open. And opening the desk, there's a trap. A billowing cloud of poisonous gas surrounds you. You're having trouble breathing. So once again, what we're about to get is the all too familiar... Oh, it actually did not do a poison condition. It just whacked out some of my health. But that's okay, because we can just heal. Oh, there it is. There's the poison condition. After I healed myself, guess what? Nope, it's there. And you can see it slowly ticking away at the health. But that's okay. We've got plenty of time. So we rifle through the Mad Monk's desk and find a diary of Amon Tolado? Boy, was this guy whacked. But it gives some information about the ritual of the Dark One. It says something about the first ritual being placed within the Mad Monk's tombstone. There to be guarded by the followers. The second ritual shall be placed at the Stone of Squids, revealed only to the light of the dead child's soul. Ugh. The next ritual shall be placed at the hollow of Hangman's Tree, guarded by the spirit of the dead, which will remain there. The blood ritual shall be concealed magically within a monastery, and only he who willingly seeks dark visions shall find it. So these are some of the things that Piotr, the spirit that's in the inside area of Mordavia where Arana's staff is, this is some of the stuff that he was probably looking to do. The mouth ritual shall be placed in the Great Arch. The mouth one, man, that one, you'll see when I get to it. And then there's another note on the page of the handwriting that Gregor is missing in the forest and probably dead. So, a little bit of information there. So now that we have this information, we're going to go ahead and drop a save. Just noting that I'm poisoned again. And just because it looks like one of the hexapod things, I'm going to try to give that thing garlic. It's a huge book. It looks fascinating. You could almost swear it moves. The Necrophilicon. Necrophilicon? I think that's how it's pronounced. Sure, it's referencing the Necronomicon. Ouch! You know what? When people say that reading is good for you, listen. If you're in a dark monastery and there's a huge ritual book, don't read it. It's not good for you. It's not healthy. So the little hexapod dude, it's just a statue. Clearly no value. Much too heavy to carry. And then there's the name on the wall, so you can see. Above the altar is a dark one surrounding by the arcane letters. A marking a notch where you think that perhaps some sort of starting point for the letters. That'll come into play later on. Also, I just realized that I am almost an hour into the commentary of this one, and I spliced this one out to be 3 hours long. It's probably going to be a little bit less because I do trim parts where I don't have much to say, so I speed up those segments. I don't trim them out. I actually just speed up those segments so that there's less dead air. But yeah, this one is 3 hours long that I'm going to sit here and talk to you all in this warm room, drinking my Coke Zero. Hey, listen, Coke, if you're listening, go ahead and sponsor me. It'd be great. I do drink a lot of Coke Zero. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Give me some sponsorship. Yeah, what are the chances that Coke is ever going to hear about this video? Unless one of you listeners happen to work for Coca-Cola and say, hey, check out this guy's video. He is promoting Coke Zero. Yeah. Alright, so we're done with the monastery for now, and oh lord, here we go again with the calm down everyone, and the gypsy must die. We've waited long enough. The gypsy shall pay, yeah. The gypsy shall burn at the stake.
He's gonna burn at the stake.
Yes, yes, yes. You'll have your burning if we can't find Igor by tomorrow. That is no pressure at all for the hero to basically find Igor and crack this case wide open. But clearly, as they already hinted that they were headed for the cemetery, that's probably where we should go. Unfortunately, I don't know where the cemetery is in terms of the map yet. I just know that it is east of Mordavia. Of course, nowhere in the map do you truly know what is north, what is east, what is south. One would assume that walking down would be south, but who knows. So we're going to take some rest. I know we have to find you before sunrise tomorrow, Igor, but don't worry. I'm just resting up. Should be fine. Just trying to make that poison burn away. Before I go out there and start fighting things and have the poison start ticking down my health as well. But clearly that's not going to happen, so let's just heal ourselves up and see the poison ticking away at our health. And for some reason we feel worse than before. It's because we're poisoned. Listen, just say it. You feel bad because you're poisoned. So, don't mind us, Igor. We are just going to sleep until the morning. And cut it close for you, buddy. I don't know if they actually will burn the gypsy if you don't provide, like if I were to wander around for like a couple of days. I don't know if they actually go ahead and kill the gypsy, or if the game is just puts it on pause and says, you know what, until the hero figures out where Igor is, he's just going to sit in jail. But once again, we are having a nice dream. Arana again. And you dance in circles. The very ground radiates with peace and harmony. But that's not going to last long here in a minute. Things are going to start going dark. That song of love and happiness, you realize that it's not you doing this, it's someone else back in time. You hear that voice calling you again. Darkness surrounds you, eats at you. The voice calls out again, and you are afraid. Calls from the center of the darkness, drawing you nearer and nearer. The darkness sucks at you, pulling you towards the voice as it flays all the warmth and life from you. That's pleasant. You scream. Ah! That's a manly scream, I know. It's how Valor screams. Ah! You gradually wake, shaking off that weird, odd feeling. Alright, so it's daytime. Let's see if we can go find this blasted cemetery. I mean, there are 2 lives at stake here. We have to save Igor, who is actually not in a lot of danger. He just did something foolish. But, more importantly, we need to save the gypsy in order to get the gypsy's trust. So we're going to wander around, explore some new areas, see what's up. Alright, so, hey, look at this. We found some castle gates. A heavy gate blocks the way to the winding road. There's a majestic castle off in the distance. And hey, welcome to Mordavia. It's nice to have some fresh blood around here. We so seldom see strangers, and we're going to discover fairly quickly here as we talk to him that this is Boris. And Boris, if you don't remember, is the husband of the general store woman. It's difficult to get past the swamp that blocks the area. We haven't seen a stranger here since the rains created the swamp several years ago. So this land definitely seems to be cursed. So we're going to tell him about ourselves. And he says, you've done quite a bit. It'll be interesting to see what you do around here. That's very nice. So now let's find out more about him. So we're going to ask him his name. I am Boris Dovich. So there we go. We now know this is more than likely the shopkeeper's husband, and that he has not perished. So let's ask about some stuff about the castle. Used to belong to the Boyers. Used to belong to the Borgoff family for generations, but the last Borgoff has been dead for many, many years. So now the castle is under new ownership. Mordavia is the name of the valley and the town. Even the inn is called Hotel Mordavia. The name means Dark Valley. Now, I know in the past, with the other Quest for Glory games, they've actually used real dialect. So I wonder if Mordavia is, for example, a Russian word that actually means Dark Valley. So if you know, let me know in the comments what Mordavia actually really means. I could Google it, but I'm in the middle of doing a commentary right now, so I don't want to Google away. So you, my fine listeners, the one or two of you that are out there, hopefully much more, can Google foo, or if you already know the answer, slap it down in the comments. And let me tell me, how did you know what Mordavia meant? Did you look it up after you played Quest for Glory? Or are you fluent in Russian or whatever language Mordavia actually originates from? As you can see, I do enjoy trying to make these videos interactive. It's not just about me talking, so if there are things that I say that you agree with, disagree with, let me know in the comments. Or there's like random things like, where does the word Mordavia come from? I like to do that stuff, so love keeping this like engaging, not just me rattling off random thoughts about the game. And Boris says he's not entirely certain who all lives in the castle. It's only that he is the gatekeeper. And he says there is the master, of course, and then there's the strange foreigner that also the master's daughter, I believe. So now we know there is the master. We don't know who that is. A foreigner. Okay, keep in mind there's a foreigner. That'll be important, especially if you've played Quest for Glory 2, or if you played Quest for Glory 4 and you already know who that foreigner is. And then also the master's daughter. So we know that there is also a young girl in there. Now, could that young girl be a specific missing child that belongs to the innkeeper by the name of Tanya? Well, we'll find out eventually, because we're going to go ahead and go inside the castle. Not right now, but we are going to make our way inside this castle and find out more about what's happening in these castle walls. And in doing so, we will find out more about who the master is, who the foreigner is, and who the little girl is that is supposed to be the master's daughter. And there are guards, but they don't appear to be quite human. And we will also see those guards. And it's unfortunate that when you do see the guards, there are two of them. There is no way to fight them. If you reveal yourself to them, it is game over pretty much. Now he says he's here to make sure that welcomed guests may enter. And that at night the gate is guarded by huge necrotars. And rest assured, we will encounter those necrotars from time to time, not just inside the gate, but as well as wandering in the forest at night. They come out. The town of Mordavia is east of here. So, just in case you happen to have wandered up to the castle first out of the swamps, it's kind of cool that he's actually giving you directions as to where to find the actual town. So he even talks about, hey, when it's blocked by rocks, go this way, go this way. So I believe the goals are using up is north, down is south, and then east and west is, east would be to your right, west would be to your left. If you're going upward. If you're going downward, it changes, because east, and never mind. That was, in case anyone missed it, that's a jab at Quest for Glory 2, where your perspective changes in the desert. So if you try to climb the gate, he says, I can't let you do that. You can't force the gate open. You can knock on it, and he says, hey, there's no reason to knock. I'm the gatekeeper. But you can't come in because you are not yet a welcomed person inside. I can only let people in when the master instructs me to do so. And it looks like he, just like what the shopkeeper says, has a nice little friendly saying as you leave. Very reminiscent of how the shopkeeper describes her husband, always having these odd sayings. So it looks like Nikolai has nothing new to add, mostly because we have not gone back to find his wife, which I believe will only appear at night, as ghosts apparently typically do, unless you're in a horror movie. Alright, so heading back outside. We still need to find the cemetery. I think the flowers can be given to someone that I keep randomly picking. But I can't remember who I gave those flowers to, or if I figured it out. I feel like they would go to the Rusalka a little bit later. So we're back at the Rusalka, but we really don't have anything to help her out too much yet. We do know that Piotr talked about the woman in the lake who had drowned. It's interesting that when she surfaces out of the lake, it looks like she has blonde hair, but then when you see her, she has green hair. Which I'm assuming the green is indication of like the seaweed and all, basically her hair getting tarnished by all the water, turning like into algae.
Thank you for the beautiful flowers. No one has been
Yeah, so
nice
giving
to
the
us.
flowers to the Rusalka shows, hey, you know what? I'm trying to be nice. Stop trying to drown me.
You've done a lot to get rid of monsters and things.
And so we tell her about who we are,
You don't think I'm
and she
some
says, you don't
kind
think
of
I'm some kind of monster, do you?
just because I'm
Just because I'm undead and drown people, you don't think I'm bad? And technically, yes, but technically not her fault, I guess.
to the lake and drown it.
And she goes on to explain that it is very lonely being a Rusalka, because after she drowns her victims, they're dead and they don't really do anything, so it still remains lonely. And she says she's been a Rusalka for so long she's forgotten her name. So apparently that's a theme in this game. The ghosts forget their name, the Rusalka forgets their name. So we've got a lot of people to help in this game, which I thought was a really cool aspect versus just kill everything. This game has a lot where you're mostly helping people without non-stop murder.
Dead things lie under the water and try to drag the living underneath. Kinda sounds like my job description.
And I will say that the fighting system in Quest for Glory 4 took some getting used to. It was very different. So I feel like each time they've changed it a little bit.
They crawled into the lake from the swamp one day.
But
They remind me of
4 definitely, well, 5 technically is probably the biggest diversion. But 4 was the biggest change in terms of how combat was handled. 1 and 2 are pretty similar, 2 and 3 are pretty similar. 3 and 4 are quite a bit different. And she talks about she can't leave the lake.
it's my job to drown.
She says it's her job to drown people. This is what the Rusalka are all about.
I think
And she says she thinks she remembers the town, other than the fact that it's someplace in the northeast. I can't tell you much about it.
I guess I can't tell you much about it.
So we will have to help her regain some of her memory.
It is lonely being a
And in doing so, it will help us learn what we can do to help her. So we've given her more flowers, and she actually had a different different response.
That didn't do anything.
So I was just giving her flowers to see if that somehow changes her response, helps her remember anything. But it pretty much just says, nope, thank you, you're the kindest person I know.
Thank you.
So it really makes no change. Some of the dialogue will change, but pretty much it's thank you, you're the nicest person I know. So that's sweet. We've earned the Rusalka's trust, if you will. But we still have to help her. And sorry if you can hear my dog. She is a corgi, barking from time to time in the background. Usually if you hear my phone make a sound, that's the camera picking up movement, which is shortly followed by the corgi and our rescue from Mexico barking. That was the corgi.
Please, come visit me again.
So usually if there's movement outside, they want to let the entire world know by barking. Alright, so now that we've earned a little bit of the trust of the Lady of the Lake, I'm going to go ahead and save the game. And we'll move forward from here and continue our quest for glory. I do love that when he leaves the path, there is a brief moment where it seems like he turns around to get like a second look at the half-naked woman in the lake, who wants nothing more than to just drown him. I remember I was thinking I'd come back and check, having given her flowers, and she has a different response now. You seem different somehow since the last time we met. More powerful and just a bit stranger. What happened to you? So she does have a different response now. So, want to see if by giving her the flowers and stuff helped her regain her memory. So a ghost told you to cure me. I don't know why he should care whether or not I hang around here. Does he have something against me drowning people? Or does he just want to be the only undead in Mordavia? So now we know, if you recall, Piotr talked about, hey, talk to the gypsies and they may be able to help you find a cure for her.
Is it supposed to hurt or be nasty?
And she says, you know, with a cure, will I still be dead? Or really dead this time? And it sounds scary.
Tough as you are,
And then when you ask about the swamp, it says the swamp is dangerous, it's really strong,
and make sure you have a
in the mud and muck.
You know, I never realized
You know what?
before you came here, but being undead is a real bore.
I just realized I cannot
Drowning
remember.
people really isn't much
I bet you use the glide spell to help get across
Dead, there's nothing
the
you can do with
swamp.
them except feed them to the fish.
I don't think I used the glide spell. I think I just walked through it and avoided the hands. I wonder if the glide spell actually just lets you skim over even the hands grasping you. No, that seems too easy if you're a wizard. But maybe that's the case. I don't know. I can't remember if I use a glide spell now, but it just dawned on me when she talked about the swamp being dangerous. And earning that glide spell, I couldn't think of where I might have used it. I think the place to use it is the swamp, and I cannot remember when I played if I actually used a glide spell to try to get across the swamp. Or if I just walked. Dang it. So if you have played this, and you played the wizard, or even a paladin, or anyone who can cast spells, did you use a glide spell to get across the swamp? And is it any different than just walking? Like, what is the benefit of using the glide spell over just walking through the swamp? Because I cannot remember if I actually used the glide spell. Again, it's been several weeks since I've played this, and it was like over 16 hours of gameplay. So I do not remember if I used that glide spell or not, but I bet you that's where you use it, is at the swamp. Huh. Alright. Well, if you've used it, let me know in the comments if it is any different than just walking across the swamp. Is it faster because you're not trudging through the swamp, or is there any difference at all? And can you avoid the hands if you're using the glide spell? That would be key, because those hands were, they would just spawn at a moment's notice and pull you under. think it got me 2 or 3 times, so I probably wasn't using the glide spell. Or if I was using the glide spell, it doesn't matter about the hands. But I don't think I use the glide spell. Anyway, let me know in the comments, did you use the glide spell in the swamp? Is that where you use the glide spell first of all? Certainly seems to make the most sense now that I think about it. And does it make a difference? Is there a difference between walking through the swamp or just using the glide spell? I love that this actually came to me as I'm doing the commentary. Now I'm sitting here trying to remember, did I use a glide spell? I don't think so. I don't think I used a glide spell. So, remember in the first commentary I talked about that eagle, hawk, whatever. And this hunting hawk is searching for signs of some kind of game already claimed by the forest monsters. Is there anything you can do with this hawk, people? If you know, please let me know in the comments. I don't know what to throw this hawk, or if it's just there, but the fact that it keeps landing near the hero in different screens, it feels like there's something we can do with this hawk. I do not know what to do, or if there is anything that you can do with this hawk. So if there is, just like I asked in the first one, in case you didn't watch the first one, or you didn't get very far in the first one when I saw the hawk, let me know in the comments, can you do anything with this hawk? What am I missing? Also, while I'm on it, since I was just looking at the hawk flew away, while I was looking at my inventory, there's jewelry. Is there somewhere you can sell the jewelry? Because I don't recall in the general store, which is the only vendor that I know of, an option to be able to sell anything. I think you can only buy from her. I don't think there was a selling option. So what is the point of the jewelry and some of the other stuff that you find? Because the tiara, I think, gets used. I can't be 100% certain that we found earlier. But like the random jewelry, do we just give that to people? Like, does it belong to someone? And if we give it to them, it's like, this belonged to so-and-so in my family. If you know what to do with the jewelry that we find in Quest for Glory 4, please let me know in the comments, because as far as I know, it's just treasure we loot that we can't do anything with, and it just bogs us down in weight. Not a huge amount of weight, but still, it does. So if you know what to do with jewelry that is found in Quest for Glory 4, please let me know in the comments. Also, it looks like I'm about to do a throwing / strength / endurance / whatever agility montage that helps build up when you just chuck rocks. So we'll probably just go ahead and speed right through that if I don't already have the speed thing on. Which it doesn't look like I do. I'm just chucking rocks into the sky. Alright, so let's speed this up. Random side note to pause the speed up here. It's a shame that one of the mountains in the background isn't actually the Sierra logo mountain, the Half Dome. That would have been actually a prime opportunity to throw the Half Dome in the background back there. Alright, let's speed it up again. So throwing and agility are the two that go up when you just chuck stones randomly into the sky. Oh look, once again, our hungry hawk appears and flies off. If there's anything that hawk needs, can you let me know in the comments? Alright. I will say one of the things that I do wish is, like, when you're picking up rocks, I wish it would just stay on the hand icon, because the reason it's taking so long is you'll see me shift through the icons. So when you pick up rocks, the icon turns into a rock. So it'd be just nice if it just stayed as a hand, so that you just stay on your inventory item and that stuff just goes into your inventory versus changing into whatever it is you may have just picked up. I'm sure there's a reason they did this, but it was, when you're just trying to pick up a bunch of rocks, it was pain. I'm surprised I didn't catch this in my editing of the original to speed these up and do the little VCR controller in the corner to speed it up. But we'll speed it up in the commentary version that I'm doing now, except for where I'm actually talking about the fact that I didn't speed it up. And in case you are wondering why I'm just sitting there chucking rocks, is I'm one of those people that where I like to basically try to, in Quest for Glory, build out my stats to be maximum as much as I can without any form of cheating, so that when my hero does engage in combat, he is pretty well off. He's got the strength, the agility, and the endurance, and the hit points, or the health, and stamina in order to do it all. So a lot of times that's why you'll see me doing these little training montages, like the climbing. Climbing was critical for getting over that fence. Or not the fence, sorry, the gate at the city. I still need to find the cemetery so that we can find Igor in order to save the gypsy. So just wandering around, and it looks like we have encountered the Vorpal Bunny. A reference to Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail. Now, wouldn't it be great if you could loot the bunny?
There is absolutely nothing in the little rabbit's fanny. Well, maybe a pocket watch, but you don't need one.
It's funny, pocket watch reference. If you could loot the bunny so that you can give the meat to the hungry hawk. But apparently not.
Ah. You can't heal that.
Trying to heal the poor dead bunny.
The glide spell only works on me. Can't cast it here.
And it says the glide spell only works on liquid, which would indicate something like, oh, I don't know, a swamp? Oh, look. It's the hawk again. Oh, look. It's the hawk in the background. And he landed again. I am telling you, there has to be something with that hawk. If there is, I never found it in this game. And we're about to encounter another Vorpal Bunny. Let him come to me with his hippity hop action. And teach him what steel tastes like. I am curious, maybe if you kill the Vorpal Bunny and move away from it but stay on that screen, if that hawk comes for the Vorpal Bunny's meat? It's funny that I seem, when I'm watching myself play, I seem to be stuck on everything like Mordavia south and west of it. There is things to the east
You have a strain?
of Mordavia that I've not even yet seen, such as the cemetery and Arana's peace area. I keep ending up circling back around to the same area over and over again. Okay, so the Rusalka has nothing new, obviously, because we haven't really done too much. We know of Akira, but we still have to talk to the gypsies. In order to talk to the gypsies, we have to find Igor. In order to find Igor, we need to find the cemetery. But, you know what? It's getting dark. I'm just going to pick up some rocks. And, oh, look, it's the hawk again. Now I think part of the problem is, like in that screen that I just left, it does not look like you can go east. Kind of looks like it's all blocked off. There's that big tree and then the plants right next to it. So here I am saying maybe I need to cross the swamp because it was not obvious to me that I could go technically east on the previous screen. But I guess I'm about to figure out if I did use the glide spell or not.
Tarmac has listed.
Now it does seem like you should be able to hop from the green thing, little green patches. So that pretty much answers it. Looks like I am not using the glide spell. I can't remember how far I get this time around, but I think I actually get pretty far into the swamp. I'm looking at the preview of the video ahead of me, and it looks like I see a lot of swamp screen in front of me. And it looks like I do reach the other thing that is in this swamp that I need to get to. But I can't remember if I figured out what to do when I got there, or if I end up crossing the swamp later on again. I am rather amazed that I am not saving every little bit. Like create 2 different saves for the swamp, because you don't want to save right before something grabs you and then that's your save where you're already dying. Apparently I was feeling very brave crossing the swamp, very confident in my ability to dodge slow moving hands. So yeah. Listen, if you use the glide spell in the swamp, if that's where... we sense terrible danger here. There's great evil about this place. It looks like we have some hags to fight. And this will not go well for me, because there are 2 of them. One just hit me in the face with a spell. Usually the hag fights do not go well because they have those spells that will knock me back, that prevent me from getting close. I could spell them, but I have a feeling being hags, they're probably resistant to magic. They don't probably take the full brunt of the spells. And I call these hags, but I don't know technically what the proper term is for them. And it's a serious bummer that you fight one and it does not automatically go into the second fight. You have to trudge through the swamp to get to the other one. I took more damage standing there than it was worth trying to heal myself. So here we are against the second hag. They kind of look like praying mantises with robes on, really. I knew that spell was coming. I mean, do these creatures have a mana pool like I do? I don't think they do. They can just keep heaving spells. But overall, feeling pretty confident about the fight. Their health is lower than mine, but at the rate I am hitting in the face with spells, it is quickly balancing out towards their favor. But thankfully, a couple jumps and a couple swings. Back up because I know another spell's coming, but I don't block it. And down goes the last and final hag here. And thankfully there are no, like, raising hands here, so...
You are too far from the
We're in front of a tomb, and there is an indentation, so we can guess that the hexapod, I guess you could call it, ornament that we got way at the beginning of the game, you'll see it in the first commentary version, Probably goes inside that indentation. I mean, that is a fair and obvious guess because that thing seems to get used quite a bit.
Something else must be needed to activate.
Something else must be needed to activate it. Yeah, like the hexapod thing. Alright. The obvious choice of putting the hexapod thing. Even though I'm not at full health, this seems like a terrible idea. The thing clicks into place. You find that you can now turn the sign like a dial. Now, if you remember down in the monastery, there was how to spell Aveluza, whatever. So you kind of know which way to spin the sign. Now, I'm not sure if it's a great idea if I should do it now, bearing the fact that I have no stamina to heal myself, and I've got less than half my health. So let's give her a spin like the Wheel of Fortune. Fortunately, I was not smart enough to write down what those symbols were in what order. And there doesn't seem to be a way to pull it out until you just click it and say save. Ritual, I assume. It's a safe assumption. Completely clicking it in the wrong order. I think I am, because I think it takes 2 or 3 tries. I was trying to do it by memory first. Because there is the Mad Monk's book about the rituals in a specific order, but then there's a sign on the wall that shows where the A is to start and to roll the wheel around. So I think it takes a few tries, and I don't know if I even get it while I'm standing here in the swamp. I will say one thing, I am quite determined on trying to figure it out by looking at these symbols as to what is blood, what is bone, and the different rituals that are mentioned in the Mad Monk's writings. Once again, the benefit, if you will, of not using a walkthrough. And there's a fast forward. So we're going to fast forward the fast forward and just zip through this swamp. So that was my text, but that wasn't the delivery I was expecting for today. That is actually a different thing. For my wife's medication is ready to be picked up at the pharmacy. So that one can wait. I mean, not a long time, but there's only an hour and a half of this commentary left, and the pharmacy is open for like another 5 hours today. And you will notice now there are those little, they look like light bugs over there. So we probably need to do something with those. Those are pretty new to the game. So we'll find out what those are and how to basically attract them and then be able to capture them later. But they were not there before. Or not that I remember. I think they only come out at night. And what they are is a pretty sad story. we end up doing something that accidentally perishes them, and we lose one of our paladin abilities, so I end up restoring to fix that, but you'd almost think that letting them perish is probably the better way to go than allowing them to live their unlife state. So I'd like to note that it is now nighttime. That would mean that A, the ghost is out, so Anna is out and about. So sure enough, there she is. And there you are. What happened to you?
What happened to you?
I thought you were going to show me the way
You
home,
were going to show
or
me
to
the
town.
way
And so clearly she couldn't leave, so we'll talk to her. But more importantly, if it's nighttime, that means our gypsy friend doesn't have a lot of time left. And so I'm about to see, do they actually do the burning at the stake, or do they just keep letting the days go by? Because I don't remember if I found the graveyard in time, technically within the night that they ask.
I'm lost in-
And so we were trying to tell her that she's a ghost, and she says, "Why are you telling me that? Why are you trying to hurt me?"
I live in town. Somewhere in town.
She says, "I live at home." So we ask her name, what's wrong with me, what happened to me, everything is so strange, I don't understand when you try to find out what her name is.
I'm looking for
And she talks about looking for blackberries, they should be ripe now. She wanted to surprise her husband with a pie. And then it's getting dark and she needs to go home. Unfortunately, she does not make it home, as you can see, because she is still a ghost. So for now, we've kind of talked to her, told her what we know. There isn't much more we can do with her.
That didn't do anything useful.
So try to give the ghost flowers, and that doesn't do anything. So clearly the flowers are for the Rasuka. So for now, we're just going to have to leave her be. We'll come back, see if there's a new dialogue tree. And nope. Now instead there is a zombie. Well, Mr. Zombie, I don't have a lot of health, so we're gonna slap you down with some magic, because we want to keep you at bay since you are a melee creature. So kind of use force to try to knock back, and then fire to burn. That is not doing a lot of damage. So every time it gets close, we're going to swing our sword and try to keep him at bay. And we are victorious. Now I'm seeing the video preview up ahead of what's coming, and thankfully, yes, as a matter of fact, we do find the cemetery.
You have entered an
So we've entered a eerie and deserted cemetery. Strange moans wail through the trees, and mysterious lights seem to flicker and fade among the tombstones. Two large crypts dominate the cemetery. Alright, you have a bad feeling about this place. This doesn't seem to be in immediate danger, but you suspect that death lies among the crypts and tombstones in this place. Indeed. But more importantly, you hear moaning from beneath a fallen tombstone. Perhaps a horrible monster waits for you below. Or, spoiler alert, could be someone we're looking for. The headstone has fallen over the open grave covering it. I mean, technically not, it's kind of off to the side, but we lift it up, and who should emerge but Igor. Igor saved! You kind strange servant saved Igor. Good kind stranger. Igor, happy grave, not Igor's grave. That's a little graveyard humor there, Igor. But he's gonna saunter off. But we have found Igor, we have saved him before the sunrise, so we don't need to find out if they actually pause and just keep letting the gypsy live as the days go by, because we actually did it on time, which is quite a surprise. Could not remember if we actually did it in time. I remember that we actually saved the gypsy, I just didn't remember if a bunch of days went by before I actually found Igor. I was certain that I was not going to find the cemetery. So now with half health and no stamina, instead of resting, we're going to wander around. I mean, what could happen except for, you know, running into danger probably pretty soon. Because I'm looking at the screen and I can see ahead that there is a fight coming up. Oh, look at that. It's a Spectre. Or a Wraith. They're called Wraiths in this, yeah. And I'm going to try to heal myself up as the Spectre emerges. And I don't have enough stamina for the spell, and the Spectre just hit me. He hit me again. Either run or fight, do something. Let's bail. Because I do not have the health to be dealing with that. So we took a health potion, but that only gave us half health back. I'm feeling confident if I just run up to him and engage in combat, I should win the fight. Doing some dodge and weave, taste steel, dodge and weave. However, did not jump. Again, jumping would be to my benefit. I got the dodge down pretty good. I'm gonna have to swing wildly to end this fight because it is like very close as to who wins this fight. Let's see how much health I had. We're gonna loot it. We search it. Find a diamond-studded brooch, a healing potion, which is nice, and 15 gold crowns. So first things first, we're gonna consume that. Get some health back into us. Get some rest.
After some rest.
Also, it'd been kind of cool if there was a quicker way to hit the rest button instead of menu down to rest. I mean, now I'm asking too much, I know. Like hotkeys. Why are there no hotkeys? No, it's fine. It's actually fine. But it would be cool if, you know, they did like certain hotkeys. Like Control R is rest. Control S opens up your spell book. Because they do have other shortcuts. I'm just saying. No, actually, it's fine. This game is so good in every regard that these small little details do not matter at all. And there we go. Now that we are on the eastern side of Mordavia, we find a number of different things. We found the cemetery. We found, a gypsy camp, full of wolves/werewolves. So it certainly seems that the gypsy rumor that they turn into wolves/werewolves may be quite true. But since we have not done anything to help the gypsy yet, telling the wolves to stay calm doesn't seem to help too much. First, we have to make sure to help the gypsy, so we should actually make our way back to Mordavia, let him know that Igor's alive, and then the gypsies, who we have now found, should be much easier to speak with. And we have a zombie who wants to do the dance. Zombies are great for using magic against, because that manages to damage them before they get near you. Especially if you're already a little bit low on health. Tossing some magic their way helps even out that fight. And we are victorious. And saving the game has got totally turned around. All of this side of when I was playing, I was originally trying to map it. And I think this is the one. I think this is a special Spectre. or Wraith, or whatever they're called. I think he is the one that I forgot to loot, and yeah, he does a bunch of weird magic stuff. Like shield and stuff like that. So I think he's the one... I think he defeats me the first time, and then I come back, defeat him, and I think I forget to loot him. I think this is the one. Because he is wailing on me. And there it is. Defeated by the Wraith. And I think he's the special one that you need to loot. So what we'll do is we'll rest up a little bit.
After some rest, we feel better.
Then, after we get some rest in us, we're going to use that to heal ourselves.
After some rest, we feel better. After some rest,
And once we heal ourselves, we'll maybe go after him again.
ah,
So, we now have enough. We'll go ahead and save. Alright, let's go for round 2. Gonna swing wildly to get close. Because I saw him block a spell before, so let's just straight up just do hitting. And we defeat him. The Wraith vanishes into nothingness. So he wasn't the one. There is a Wraith that is stuck in one place, and he's always there at night. Plate mail armor. Oh, this might be the one. And 25 gold crowns. And it has superior protection. So now we have some plate mail armor. But there is another Wraith, and he has, if I remember correctly, he has something else that we need. In this part of the game, I'm wandering around because I am indeed trying to map what leads where I can go north, where I can go south. And there's one of those Nectars or Necrotars, whatever they're called. It's the undead hound thing. And again, nowhere near as scary as the Cheetar. I mentioned it in the first playthrough that I played. Now, while this thing seems to have a ton of health because it's taken a lot of spell hits, still the most terrifying creature in Quest for Glory for me is the Cheetar. Every time I saw that thing, it did not matter what I had for armor or weapons or health, the Cheetar always scared me. I do like that some of the monsters have special attacks, like the Necrotar has the knockdown. So it'll back up, rush forward, and knock you down for a split second.
find nothing of value. Spent on
So even in the daytime, the werewolves are about. So can't even go into the gypsy camp during the day, which means that they don't need to wait for a full moon to turn. Or it could be that it's just wolves and not werewolves. There's the hawk again. Encountering another Vorpal bunny. Another, again, reference to Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail. While we are not questing for a grail, we are questing for some glory. And unfortunately, killing this murderous rabbit in a few quick strokes is one way to apparently earn some glory. Now, if only that hawk were around to take the meat, instead of just flying around looking at me very hungrily. So now this screen looks pretty much exactly like the same screen that leads up to the town of Mordavia, but as we can see, we've claimed south, and that is not the case. So we are still mapping this whole area out. And here's a brand new area. There's something strange about the bush. Maybe it's eyes. Oh, forget it. It's probably just ordinary everyday bush with blood-red berries and tentacles-like branches. So already we can probably figure out there's probably something we need to do with this bush and some way of getting those berries. But it definitely has those little yellow eyes at the top.
A little closer. The bush seems to be hard of hearing. No one seems to.
So we need to get closer to the bush for it to hear us. But before we do anything crazy, because it is a bush with eyes, we're going to go ahead and save. And being that it is a Sierra game and Quest for Glory, I do save it as Bushman. Maybe I'm going to die. So we got a little bit closer. Let's talk to the bush.
You'll have to.
Seems to be hard of hearing, and I mean, the bush does have eyes, and ouch! That really hurt. It's like being stung by a 10-foot long wasp. And that took a bunch of health. And he is still whapping at me. So we're going to grab a handful of rocks, throw it at the angry bush. And in doing so, it seems to have broken off a little piece, but it's still swinging at me. And don't think I'm going to get away. Yep. So it's interesting, hitting it with a force spell does break off a piece of its branch, but does not make it retreat. I feel like this would have been a good place to cast the Detect Magic spell as well, since the bush is either a natural creature of bush that's alive, or magic is making it be alive. But there is definitely more to do with this bush. It seemed unaffected by that spell. So we're going to go ahead and grab the berries that fell off, take a hit from it.
You think that would be a relief? You strip the berries from the loose branch.
We get the branch, store them in our pocket, in our backpack. And we need to quickly step away. Again, it turns into an inventory item, which gives the bush a free whack on us. Again, I just wish when you pick up something, it just goes into your inventory item and does not actually turn into the cursor. So, but we have stamina. We're going to go ahead and give ourselves some healing here. Some lay on hands, if you will, if you've played D&D 5th edition.
You grab it.
And just out of spite, I am going to throw a rock at the bush. Alright, we still need to make our way back to the village now that we found Igor. And let him know that, hey, the gypsy didn't do it. Igor's all good. Yeehaw. Let's talk with the gypsies now. So, first, let's see if we can find our way back, because we're still mapping out the area.
There's something.
Alright, strange bushman. Let's see if we can go north of you. And you can. So that's where it's kind of rough sometimes, is where you can go north, south, east. Oh, and it's the hawk again. Where you can go north, south, east, and west. It's not always very, very visible as to when you can. And it's another Vorpal bunny. Where's the hawk now? Now that I'm about to kill a bunny, where's the hawk so he can enjoy some bunny meat? Seriously, if anyone knows what's up with that hawk, if there is anything to do with it, please let me know. I do wish that the hawk in King's Quest III who drops a feather appeared as frequently as this hawk does. I have played King's Quest 1 through 7. It is on my channel, including King's Quest 3. You can hear me scream about some of the stuff in King's Quest 3, mostly in fun. I do love King's Quest 3, but it is the most difficult King's Quest by far, in my opinion, because of the evil wizard that you start off being a servant to. Alright, so the werewolf threat has ended. Since you have found and rescued Igor, I have released our gypsy prisoner. It seems he was not a werewolf after all. And all the peasant fears were for nothing. Imagine that. So now we've made good with the gypsies, but he's not here, so we'll have to eventually make our way back to the gypsy camp, because we've been told to speak with them as to how to cure the Rasuka. And there's other things that we can definitely learn from the gypsies, but we'll get to that. I'll talk about that when we get there. Alright, so apparently we've been out and about for a week in terms of game time because we just paid the innkeeper for our room. We're going to sit down, grab that free meal. Well, the meal that comes with paying for the room. It's garlic shuffle, Moldavian style. Which probably means it just has a metric ton of garlic. So now we're going to go ahead and go outside. Let's go check on our buddy Igor, see if he's back where he's supposed to be. See if he has anything new to say now that he has been rescued by our valiant efforts. Igor, very glad to still not be in grave. You Igor's friend now. Okay, well. In that case, let's talk about some of the things, Igor.
Tell Igor how you figured out he was stuck in the grave.
Lucky for Igor, you persistent hero.
Yeah, it's also lucky for the gypsy.
Tell Igor the townspeople were worried while he was gone.
And so we're going to tell Igor about how the townspeople were worried. And he says people miss Igor? You tell Igor rumor? Igor now more happy than before. Morgue happy, get it? It's a little graveyard humor there. Probably my second favorite character in Quest for Glory 4 is Igor. So now that we've saved Igor, he's given us the crypt key. So that is now another little piece of information and item we have that we can now move forward with. We ask him about the grave accident, and grave accident, it's a little graveyard humor there. And Igor was in grave danger. Honestly, he has the best jokes. The gnome needs to learn from Igor. I love that he says that people call the doctor mad, but the doctor's not mad, he's just crazy. He interprets, I think, mad as in being angry. So he misunderstands, so I thought that was kind of cute. Alright, so we're going to go into the Adventure Guild. We don't need to work on our climbing anymore, because that's already maxed out. But we can do some leg press stuff, or leg day.
This is a
Well, it's a little too easy now. Let's throw in some more weight. That's what I'm talking about.
You pick up 2 of the metal weights and put one in.
Put them in the basket.
Straighten out. Your legs are too stiff and sore to use this.
Like that, sort of like 2 pumps, and he says your legs are so tired. Look at all that red. All that red means things have changed since I last looked at the character sheet. Alright, so let's head out from the Adventure Guild Hall. Make our way back into town towards Dr. Cranium's side. There's Nikolai, still looking for his Anna. We'll have to visit Anna a few more times to help her get her name, and once we do, we'll be able to help Nikolai be reunited with her. Also, I do wish there was just a way to skip the Simon Says at the front door. As well as once you figure out this pattern of key that it just stays there. You don't have to redo it every single time. So now he says he's found a way to channel lightning and bring this thing back to life. So watch this. And it ends up shocking him. Thankfully, he survives the accident.
That was not quite the experimental result I expected.
And it's just a momentary setback.
Merely a momentary setback in the
Should be
annals of
fine.
science. I shall readjust.
So we can ask him about life force energy.
Life is electrical in nature. Of course, it must also involve
And he
water,
explains all the
right?
different forces and explains how without pizza, life would be boring anyway. So we learned that Nikolai is not actually as old as he appears. He's aged quite a bit, just due to depression and sadness of his wife having gone missing and never being able to find her. Don't worry, we'll help old Nikolai get reunited and be with his wife forevermore. So you learn that Antwerps, when they split, they get their own genetic code, but cannot willingly split on their own. They actually have to be cut in some way. And that, he explains, his Antwerps came from Spielberg Valley, where if you've played Quest for Glory 1, you've definitely seen at least one Antwerp. So now we have these berries, but we don't know what to do with them. Seemed to be a lot of effort to get these berries. So he recommends, hey, maybe you can come up with your own experiment with the berries. I've already done my own fair share of testing. So once again, refer to your manual whenever you see these things. When you ask Dr. Cranium for a potion, he's going to spout out a random word. You need to find it in the manual and produce the correct earth, wind, fire, water, and pizza chemical combination that goes with said word.
Thank you. With that information,
That is my corgi, who is, because I have my office door closed to try to drown out as much noise as possible, she is sleeping right by the door outside and barking at who knows what. Now, the only reason I'm overwriting the game called Berries is I've not really done anything significantly different. The only game I overwrote was the automatic save. But I've created a new folder, moved the other games, so now it's a clean folder. And there we go, we just confirmed by looking at what day it is. It is day 7, so we have definitely been in Mordavia for a week, which makes sense why the innkeeper collected coin from us. Now, it is odd that as soon as you walk into the inn, if a week has passed by, you just automatically pay him. What if you don't want to pay him? What if you're fine sleeping outside in the town and just having sweet dreams of beautifulness and then nightmares? That's possible. There's also nice places to sleep outside that are free. At least one nice place you can sleep outside that's free, which I still have not found yet in all my wandering around. Oh, and there's a hawk in the background. I'm going to call it out every time I see that bird. Because I know there has to be something. There has to be. Otherwise, it's just a huge tease that they keep putting this hawk that lands near the hero, and when you look at it, it says it's hungry. Pool of sticky, greasy-looking slime dominates the area below the cave. Well, we have some empty vials, so logically speaking, we might want to fill up on it, see if it's any good for anything. You slowly fill your flask with greasy, grimy goo. So there we go. We have a flask, and then we have two. Now we have three. We still have empty flasks. So you can see there's some empty flasks there. We have 3 of those. And then we've got 3 flasks of goo. So clearly something to do with the goo. So we're going to go ahead and save because I have no idea what the goo is for. Figured goo would come in handy. Except handy does not fit, so just come in. And I just noticed that little tree over there, a delicate crafted bonsai bush, looks totally out of place in the pool of the dark. Unhealthy looking goo. So there's a random bonsai tree there, so now we know we have to get it. Can't reach the bonsai tree from here, the ledge is too slippery for you to climb on it. Perhaps you can try something else. So here we go to try to capture and get this bonsai tree. So first thing we're going to try to do is use the old grappling hook to see if we can lasso the bonsai tree. And we do pull the rocks down, and it allows the bonsai tree, the goo from it, to basically drain out, which is good or bad. But we still don't have a good angle on it, and dragging the bush sideways may surely harm it because bonsai trees are super sensitive. And we still can't reach it, and it's still too slippery, even though there's no goo inside, but it's still too slippery to climb because there was goo everywhere else apparently. So it would seem like climbing up the ledge would seem you wouldn't be able to reach it. That we'll need equipment to climb it. Well, yeah, we got that. So even though we're right next to the bonsai tree, right there, we can't reach the bonsai tree. We were literally standing right next to it.
You can't reach. Stones are clear of the bush now. You still don't have.
So the stones are clear, and dragging the bush sideways will surely harm it. So we've done the right thing. We've climbed up here. Seems like this is where we would grab the bonsai tree from, since it's so weird that when we throw the rope, we're literally a foot from the bonsai tree, and we can't grab it. So let's climb down, and when you get the rope, you automatically walk away. So why couldn't we just do that before? Nope. Yep. Even though you're right next to it, you try to grab it by walking up there, it will not let you. It seems really odd because the perspective seems like it's right next to you. And whenever you try to click the hand, he actually steps further away and says you can't because it's too slippery. So for now, we're going to leave the bonsai tree alone. See if we can figure out what to do.
It doesn't. You grab a handful of rocks. You grab.
Maybe we can throw rocks and knock the bonsai tree loose. It's an idea. Although throwing rocks at a bonsai tree seems even more harming or dangerous than just dragging it with a rope. But maybe we need to knock a few rocks loose, something else. It does say that the rocks were pulled loose from the thing, so it seems odd that we'd need to throw rocks to loosen it. And that certainly does not seem to be the answer. I like that he throws it from way back there, then walks up there to climb it. And then what do you know?
Yes, you hooked a big one.
If you do it from up there, you can hook it and pull it up and wipe the goo off and then put it in your backpack. So what do we do with a bonsai tree? Well, let me tell you, there's probably somewhere we need to plant it. So we need to find that place, and it's probably a place full of flowers and beautiful peace and music. Probably already know where we need to take the bonsai tree if you've played Quest for Glory 1, or if you played this game already, you already know where we need to take it. But Arana's Peace is probably what we're going to need to find. Spoiler alert, it is what we need to find. But I do save the game as no idea what the bonsai tree is for, because at the time I was not sure what to do with said bonsai tree. Just knew that it was out of place, and just like every Sierra game, if it's not nailed down, pick it up. If it is nailed down, pick up the hammer and ply it free, or in this case, use your hook and rope to pull it up. So we've picked up some slimy bones. We've actually gotten some bones off of the zombies we fought as well.
Moss and fungi. A variety of slimy toadstools surround the base. The tree. That didn't do anything.
So there are some toadstools over there, but it doesn't really allow you to do anything with them.
And you draw your hand quickly away.
Save the game as the Bone Collector, which is a reference to a movie, which is, I think, based off a novel first. I think the novel was called something else, so it might have been called The Bone Collector. Some might wonder why I don't do the commentary as I play. Too frequently I find that I end up getting so lost in the story that I stop talking about the game. So when I first started the channel, I think I tried that with a few of the King's Quest, and I would forget to talk because I just got into playing the game. and focusing on the story of what I need to do next. And as you can see, I'm very easily distracted. Like, how long ago did we save Igor? Or not save Igor, I should say. I just wandered around, burned a bunch of time. The gypsy's fate in my hands. I'm easily distracted. So a lot of times doing the game and trying to talk at the same time was proving to be too difficult. And I think it's actually funnier to actually do commentary post, because then I can see some of the things that I think of, like, oh, did I use glide to cross the swamp? Is that even what the glide spell's for? Because that's the only place I can think of that you would use it, because it does specifically mention that it requires moisture to use to glide across. And as we saw, I did not use the glide spell. But I didn't finish what I needed to do in the swamp, so maybe when I revisit, do I use the glide spell then? Or is that even what the glide spell's for? Again, that's what I imagine it's for, but I actually can't remember if I did use the glide spell or not. And then there's always that hawk. The hawk that keeps showing up. It's fun to comment and show that I am obsessed with that hawk and trying to figure out if there is anything to do with that hawk. I can't remember if in Quest for Glory 4, because it doesn't really have the... Here comes some bats. It doesn't really have the score at the top like most Sierra games traditionally did, where to say, like, 0 out of 500 or anything like that. I don't know if it keeps track of score elsewhere. I can't remember if it's in the character sheet. These bats go down pretty easy, by the way. But I can't remember if at the end it mentions, you did X percentage, or you got so many points, or you did full score. I can't remember at the end of Quest for Glory 4 if it did that.
Grey rocks litter the...
And so here's Anna. I don't understand. Every time I try to follow you, I find myself here again. Why can't I leave this place? Why can't I go home? So it is new dialogue that Anna's providing, this ghost, who we now already know is Anna. So once again, we just need to tell her that she's a ghost. No, can't be, no.
It can't be. No.
The ghostly apparition vanishes. Well, we didn't get to tell her anything else. But let's go over here and make our way right back to see if Anna reappears. And she does. I remember now. I was walking home. Something started to chase me. I tried to run, but something knocked me over, and everything went black. So if it got knocked over, more than chance, it's a nectar, whatever they're called. I'm dead, aren't I? I really can't go home again. I'm just a ghost. Don't worry, Anna. We are here to help you. We're a great hero known as Valor the Victorious. My name was Anna. I can remember things now. Everything is like a faded dream. So now we have confirmation. This is Anna. So now we can go tell Nikolai where we found Anna and watch that tragic story unfold. Seems so strange to think of myself as a ghost. Everything is blurry. There's no day, no night, only this shadowy landscape. I want to go from here, but I cannot leave. I can only wait. So she's waiting for something.
I can remember my house now.
She lived inside a tall oak tree near the center of town. I've been gone so long. My poor Nikolai. So now we know for sure this is the Anna and Nikolai combination. Alright.
Forgive me my manners. It's just that
So she
I'm
said,
not-
forgive my manners, I'm just not used to being dead.
That I'm dead.
It's a shame that we don't have the option now to tell her about Nikolai. That would have been a nice little dialogue tree to explain how Nikolai has been looking for her and stuff like that.
I remember now.
So now we got the same
I'm
dialogue.
dead, aren't I?
She just says that she's a ghost. And then now we see a new dialogue tree. She cannot leave until Nikolai is beside me again. If you see him, please tell him I love him. Oh boy. Nikolai is my true love. I cannot bear to leave without at least saying farewell. So now we know why she's stuck waiting. She needs to say goodbye to Nikolai. However, Nikolai is going to be more than willing to leave with her. So, the story is about to take a fairly dark, sad, tragic, yet happy turn of events, I guess.
I remember now.
So I'm just wandering back and forth to see if there's a new tree dialogue to appear. And does not look like it. So it's an Anna Nikolai thing. So we'll just proceed on. And now we have some grim news to tell Nikolai. We'll see how Nikolai handles that news. Oh look, another zombie. Well, if you want to do the tango and dance, here's some spells your way before you get anywhere near me. Also, unleashing these spells is a nice way to raise your spell level in those spells. It is interesting that if you look at your spells, each one has their own level. So the more you use it, the more it raises up. It's not just based off what your mana score is. So you can have a mana score of 100, you can have your fire bolt be like a spell level of 30, while your dispel is only a spell level of 3 or something. So that's interesting. I don't know how they figure out that mechanics. I'm assuming just by base of usage. So not everything goes up. So your newer spell levels that you get, for example, Glide is probably really low because I've not used Glide anywhere. And I don't know if I use it later. So now we have the ghosts. Nikolai needs to talk to... And it was great because when I was playing this for the channel, I hadn't played Quest for Glory 4 in quite some time. All of these little storylines, like with the ghost or Anna with Nikolai, and then even with Boris and the general storekeeper whose name I'm forgetting, as well as the innkeeper and the daughter, all these tiny little storylines, I did not remember them. I just remember... Oh, we just found Arana's Peace, by the way. So hooray for that. It's another place that we can rest at, and is now written down on my little map that I was doing when I was mapping this. But what I was saying is it was cool that it had all these storylines that I did not remember. And as I was finding them again, it was a really, really cool experience. Like, I enjoyed, because it had been so long, I did not remember all of Quest for Glory 4. There are huge chunks of this game I do not remember at all. So when I was replaying it for the channel again, it was really... It wasn't like the first time I played it, because there were elements that I did remember, but it was certainly a very nice breath of fresh air to replay this game and actually remember it. It is, yes, a dark story and stuff like that, but it is also a very heartwarming kind of story, like you're helping all these people. So someone dug a hole here in Arana's Peace, so there's a good chance this is probably where the bonsai tree goes. And sure enough, you plant the bonsai tree in the hole, scrape around some of the rich soil around it. In moments, the bush begins to flourish and grow and blossom. And it certainly does.
Bonsai.
Alright, we are nearing the end of this segment of the commentary section. My commentary section, I believe, is broken up into 5 separate parts, and this is part 2. Part 3, 4, and 5 may take a little bit longer. It might be until next weekend before I get to them. During the week, it's difficult to nail these down. I have a pretty busy schedule, even after work. So on Monday nights, I'm in a in a World of Darkness game. On Tuesday nights, I run my own D&D game that's been running now for like 5 or 6 years or so. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I do try to spend time with the wife out there watching TV or doing whatever, like going out, whatever the case might be. So usually the weekends is where I try to squeeze this in while she is usually out there sleeping. So hopefully I can maybe try to get 1 or 2 in during the week somewhere, like a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, and then try to nail down the last 2 on Saturday and Sunday, and have all of these up, and then finally decide what game I'm going to play next. I know, logically speaking, Quest for Glory 5 is the logical choice, but again, I loaded Quest for Glory 5, and I was not a fan of the 3D type environment. But again, I loaded it up just to basically import my character after Quest for Glory 4, so I only played it for like 15 minutes just to get a feel for it, kind of look around, see what it was like. Did not super enjoy what I was seeing, but again, you know, I couldn't really recall Quest for Glory 3 and 4, and I actually loved both of those games, so I may just give 5 a swing and see how far I get. But I may take a small break from the Quest for Glory series and maybe do a different game. Like I was talking about earlier, I might do Gold Rush, because Gold Rush has 3 alternate ways to basically get to California, and what I want to do is do all of them. So I'll do one and then play like a different Sierra game, come back, play the second route, do a different Sierra game, do the third route, and then, you know, go back and do a different Sierra game. So that way it's not just all 3 versions of Gold Rush and me talking commentary back to back about the same things. That way I'll have other games in between, and I can hopefully not be bored talking about Gold Rush, because now it's the same game I'm talking about, just a different route. So ideally, by breaking it up between having other games in between, I'll be able to talk about other games, and I'm thinking I might do that for Quest for Glory 5, just because what I saw in terms of that 3D, I was not a fan, but everyone keeps telling me it is good, though. It is good. So I just need to get past that, and it should be fine. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this second commentary. Do please click like and subscribe, share the channel around. It really, really helps the channel out. Thank you guys, and see you soon for part 3 of this. Alright, and so real quick, I thought I was near the end, but I just saw that there was still the Uranus piece. So once again, this is somewhere that you can sleep safely out in the woods if your climbing skill is horrible. And just like if you sleep just inside the gate where Urana's staff is, you will have these visions with Urana and continue to advance the story. So
You
definitely
float
sleep
gently in this
either
ocean
here
of
or
harmony.
inside the gate to get the most
You remember
out
the
of
happiness
the
of
story.
being
Don't
here
always
before
sleep
us.
at the end.
Now
Although
there is
you will
greater
want to
joy.
sleep at the end because there's something there as well that you'll want to see in the middle of the night.
You are filled with the warmth of friendship.
We'll get to that later.
You share
So
your
for
hopes,
now,
your dreams,
here we are with
all the
Urana.
best
We're
moments
having
of your
another
life,
wonderful dream with
knowing
her.
that here
But once
is
again,
someone
it's
who
going to bleed into
understands and
darkness.
cares about you.
And for now,
You reach out to touch
we're
your
just going to
friend,
wrap this up. This
but there
time
is
for
no
sure.
one there.
Because this time we're sleeping, and I think that's where I always end these commentaries. Is right after he wakes, or right after he goes to sleep and the darkness comes. Alright, see you guys soon.
You are all alone.
Bye.